If you'd like to grab your copy of Uncomplicated, my new book, please head over to my website and you'll find that there are limited copies available in this first run edition. Most golfers suffer from a 1.2 second nightmare. They have a brain so full of mechanical movements and positions that we just simply forget how to swing the golf club. Well, in the book Uncomplicated, we make the golf swing very, very simple. We start with set. Now, set refers to your setup. And the important part of the set phase is these are 6 things that are 100% within your control. We're going to look at the set phase as our foundations. It's the structure in which we build our golf swing around. And as I always say, if you have poor or weak foundations, a house will collapse under the pressure. Well, that goes the same for your golf swing. Many of my in-person students have heard me say this and are probably fed up of hearing it, but consistency starts from the ground up. More often than not, players come for their golf lesson, they're looking to become consistent, but they're not willing to do the things that they can control well and repeatedly. So let's start with the first pillar, which is alignment, ensuring that we are aligned in the correct direction and that our feet are running parallel to our club face, which should be pointing towards our intended start line. I want you guys to understand that the start line isn't necessarily your target line. So when we set ourselves up here, if you imagine I'm going to try to hit a fade towards the red flag, I'm going to be set up with my feet quite a way parallel left of that, and my club face will be aiming probably at that 3rd stripe in from the left-hand side. So as we set ourselves down here, we can see using the setup template that my feet are running parallel left to the intended target. As I come through, my golf ball will start down that start line, which is left of the target, and it will then curve its way back. A mistake I often see players make is that they set their feet aiming at their target line. Therefore, the club often is aiming for right-handers too far to the right, and then we find the player having to make a compensation in the downswing to get that club to reorientate back towards a playable target. So make sure that when we're setting up, we want our feet to be parallel left for right-handed golfers to our intended start line. If you hit the ball nice and straight, well then your start line may well just be the end target. Pillar number 2 will be your stance width. Now this has a huge impact on your ability to strike the golf ball well. So when we set up to our irons, we want our stance width to be shoulder width apart. And how we're going to measure that is allow the golf club to hang from the outside of our shoulder line, and the club head should hang directly over our shoelaces. For our iron shots and our hybrids, if we can set our feet to be shoulder width apart, we create a stable yet mobile base from which to work around. So for those players that are trying to chase a little bit of speed, this is how we're going to do it while still being able to hit the golf ball cleanly and well. When we move up into our fairway woods and our driver, we're going to take our trail foot, my right foot here, and I'm going to place it 1 foot width wider apart. From here, I have a wider base. The reason being, my driver and my 3-wood are going to be the 2 fastest clubs in my bag. I'm going to swing them the fastest. So as I do that, I'm far more likely to lose balance, something I see many players struggling with. This wider base from here is going to enable me to, again, be mobile enough to rotate in my swing, back and through, but stable enough to maintain balance in my swing. If I can maintain balance, especially for recreational players, I'm far more likely to find myself hitting the center of the club face. And with driver, well, that's where all your juice is. Then we have pillar number 3, that's ball position. Now this is vitally important to being able to get centeredness of strike and a quality strike. Why is it so important? Well, because we're using a fixed length object in our golf club here. So I have my 7-iron. When I set up with the club head on the ground, this club, provided that I keep a nice uncomplicated movement, is going to return to the ground at a particular point. What we're looking to do is place that golf ball just prior to the point in which the club's going to hit the ground. If we do that, we're going to find ourselves being able to compress the golf ball. Lots of players will come to me and they're wanting to compress the golf ball more. Well, this is how we're going to do it. By putting the golf ball in the correct spot, by having the correct ball position, and every club has its purposeful ball position in our setup, we're going to ensure that we get a downward descending blow with our irons, with our hands marginally forward, which is going to help us get that compression, which is going to help improve the strike. But not only that, understanding that the swing works on an arc. So if my golf ball position gets too far forwards in the stance, my face is traveling to the left, it's harder to find the center of the face. I'm far more likely to find myself hitting it off the toe of the club, getting those little flip hooks over to the left for a right-hander. Or if I get it too far back, face most likely is going to be open. And if I am able to square the face up, and some can, I'm going to do so from an over-the-top motion and a club face which is closing down far too much, and my 7-iron becomes a 4-iron. I get a bad outcome more often than not. So it's really important that we get the golf ball position correct. Here I've got my setup template, but if you don't have a setup template, you can use the 5-ball position. Essentially, when we set up to the golf ball here, we're going to place the first golf ball so it's in line with the inside of our lead foot, and we're going to put each golf ball in a line. So we've got 5 golf balls, which puts the final golf ball just sitting with half of it back of center of the stance, because that for our sand irons is where we want to be hitting down and collecting the ball first, then ground with the ball taking off. So pillar number 4 is posture, and it's one that's probably most often overlooked by many players, but it is important. So in the book, we only cover this briefly because, well, if you get the knee flex correct, the rest of it takes care of itself. So what we're going to do is get ourselves into our setup position here. I'm going to ask you guys, my preference is to stand there with our legs at 180 degrees, so dead straight. I'm simply going to flex my knees just enough so that I can cover the tops of my shoelaces. I now can't see the bows in my shoes. With my club held out in front of me, my arms extended, I'm going to tilt from my hip line here, and we should find ourselves able to get in the correct posture. So let's put the golf ball where I think I should be. This is where I think I'm going to get to. We're going to stand at 180 degrees, flex my knees. I've now covered the bows on my shoes, the tongue of my shoelaces here. I'm simply going to lower down. And as we can see there, the golf ball is behind the center line of or in the center of the club face here. I have adequate knee flex. From here, I'm able to work into my backswing, maintaining knee flex, and also keeping myself in posture so I won't find myself standing up too tall or falling too far down. We want to be mindful that we don't want too much knee flex. Too much knee flex is going to create an inability to turn in the swing, and we'll often see players laterally swaying. Likewise, we don't want to have the knees too straight. We see players almost with the knees locked and tilting from the hip line here. Well, this makes it very difficult to rotate, and often we just see players lifting their arms up from this position with the lower body extremely stable. Well, that's a problem. We don't want it to be so stable that we can't actually move around it. So whilst it's only a small section, we should definitely make sure that when we're setting up our posture, we have just enough knee flex to be, again, both mobile yet stable. So we get to pillar number 5, and that is the grip. Now, this is the part that connects us to the golf club. So it's really important that we have a functional grip. You'll often hear many coaches talk about getting the grip stronger versus weaker. Well, I believe in this, let's get the grip correct to begin with. So when I ask players to take the grip and grab the club, I'm going to ask you to place your left thumb down the center of the handle. You might find that if we imagine a clock face of 12 o'clock and I'm here at 6 o'clock, my thumb line might be just marginally closer to, say, that 12:30 mark. Then we're going to take our right hand through the fingers. I'm going to ensure that the pad of my right thumb sits directly on top of the pad of my left thumb, which is going to give me a thumb on thumb down the center line of the grip. Okay? From here, I have a more stable club face. Now, a little trick that I ask all my students to do, we're going to take a slightly stronger grip. So here I can see sort of 2.5 to 3 knuckles. I'm going to place my right hand on, a common grip that we tend to see players have. We're going to, from here, lift the club over. I want you to relax your arms for me. And then as I bring the club back towards the camera line here, we're going to see that the club face is hooked and hooded in. Well, when I go to hit the golf ball, my arms are going to want to come back to this position here, okay? I'm yet to see a single person who stands there and I say, hey, put your arms out in front of you, that does this. Every one of us, when I say put your arms out in front of you, we'll do this. And that's how we're going to grip the golf club. Because when I get my thumbs down the center line of the grip here, and I get into my setup position, and I relax my arms over my head and I bring the club back down, that club face is square, meaning greater stability, greater control, and ultimately a better ability to control the shot when it gets out onto the golf course. I don't mind if you baseball grip, overlap or interlock. That is your preference. Just as long as the thumbs are positioned on the correct part of the handle, you're going to find yourself with far greater club face control. So that brings us to pillar number 6, the most important pillar of all of them. And I state this in the book. I like my players to, at address, feel like they have 60% of their pressure in their lead foot. Okay, this goes a little bit against the grain, but by having that pressure forward and down, it's far easier for these players to get the pressure forward at impact. The mistake I see players make is from address, they'll try to set the pressure 50-50 or some cases 60% on the trail foot. From here, we fall behind the golf ball, and quite often players struggle to get back to the golf ball, struggling to make clean contact. But if I can get you to set up with 60% of your pressure on your lead foot, even if you do have a slight movement off of that, we're now going to ensure that the pressure is more aligned with the golf ball, and it's a lot easier to work into the downswing to get our pressure ahead of the golf ball, which is what we want. Do not be mistaken. We want our pressure moving with our irons in particular forward of the golf ball with a descending blow. So if you get into your setup position and you apply 60% of that pressure forward and down, and you try to keep it there on the backswing, you'll find yourself turning around at more centralized points. As we return down into impact, our pressure is forward and we're going to strike the golf ball so much cleaner. And ultimately, if I can get you guys to strike the golf ball cleaner, I can almost guarantee you're going to enjoy your rounds of golf that much more. So there you guys have it, the 6 pillars, the things that are 100% within your control. You can control all of them. We have alignment, we have stance width, we have ball position, we have posture, we have grip, and we finally have pressure distribution. If we can get those things done well, if we can set our foundations correctly, we're going to build a much better golf swing around it. If you'd like to grab your copy of Uncomplicated, my new book, please head over to my website and you'll find that there are limited copies available in this first run edition. It's going to help you simplify your golf swing, take away the noise, and hopefully get you playing some much better golf.